Hi everyone, Seth Scrimo here with the Best of Worcester podcast, and today I have the Women's Service Club here with Brittany. She's going to tell us a little bit about what all she has going on at the WSC, and we're going to learn about what they do. Brittany, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Great, awesome. Well, it's Friday, and you said you're either going to Rox or Leroy's. What's your go-to order to eat at each spot?
Rox is my go-to for like dessert. I'll also eat anything off of their special menu. Leroy's is such a classic, and for me it's fish dinner or wings. I love their wings.
So it's funny that you say wings. One of my next segments coming up, I'm going to be going around and trying all the best of wings in Wayne County. I'm going to be interviewing some people as well, so that will be fun. So when you're not working or leading a service project, you mentioned that being at Friendtique or going out camping. What do you love most about those?
Well, Friendtique's my work, so the joke is kind of if I'm not at work or not dealing with women's service club stuff, I am spending time with family camping. So working in a nonprofit is fun for me because it's like the best of both worlds. It's a thrift store, but we're doing greater good there. And then camping, I mean, we love our camper. It's like our happy place.
So for movies, you've picked Forrest Gump as your favorite movie, which is such a classic. Life's like a box of chocolate, right? You don't know what you're going to get. What's your favorite scene or line from it?
So the funny thing about that is we just had this conversation about why that's my favorite movie. When I was a kid, my dad worked at a company that had a family picnic, and I got to pick out my own prize, and I picked Forrest Gump on VHS at like way too young of an age to have been watching that movie, but I love it and it's still my favorite. But my favorite line is he says, "Mama says that you've got to put the past behind you before you can move on." And it's one of those little quotes that's like not the main, right? Life is like a box of chocolate, but that's so true. So many times we have to just be like, okay, I have to forget that situation. I have to forget the past to like move forward.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've been told once that you can't look in the rearview mirror if you're trying to drive forward, right?
It's true.
Now you said that one of the best parts of your life right now is getting to spend time with family and serve our community. Why do you think that those two things have become so important to you?
Well, family has always been my number one. Both my sisters are in the phase of having babies right now, so I have lots of little nieces, 4 under 4, so it's kind of a lot sometimes. My son's older, he's 16, so it's not the fun play age. But I think having good family around you is so important because it's kind of the base to your support group. And my mom really like instilled that in me because she's so like nonprofit and service oriented. So it's nice to be able to like balance career, family, and community service. I truly believe that we are better when we give back to other people, other things bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in if you want to have your cup filled up, you got to pour into other people's cups.
For sure.
For those who aren't familiar, can you explain what exactly the Women's Service Club of Wayne County does and how it's grown into something so powerful right now?
So I'll give you a little back history on that. So Junior Women's Club was founded in 1958. And when I say that anybody who was a powerful force in Wayne County, their wives have probably been a part of one of those two clubs. And then Junior Service Club was founded in 1972. Those two organizations merged in 2014 to become Junior Women's Service Club. And their mission was to kind of combine that more realistic, not stay-at-home mom, like doing more community service. I don't know a ton about why the merger happened, but it happened. Well, they did not properly file all the things to actually become a nonprofit like they wanted to. And when we took over, we wanted to become an actual nonprofit. And the nice guy that I talked to for way too long at the IRS said, you have two options, pay all these fees, or you fold and you just restart. So we decided to fold and restart and become Women's Service Club of Wayne County. Also, the junior women's thing, the number one question we always got was, why junior? Am I too old to be in it? You know, we just got we're like a fresh start. So now we've been able to take that nonprofit status and grow the club large. I mean, we're 30 women, 30 plus women, and also become it made it easier for us to fundraise to help the other nonprofits, having our own nonprofit status. So Screamo Fitness can donate to us for some sort of charity event that we're having, and they're able to write that off, having that status.
No, for sure. Now you mentioned when you joined that leadership was on the verge of stepping away and folding the group. What made you decide that step up and say, you know what, we can do this?
Well, I remember where we were. We were at City Square on the patio. So they used to have a scholarship that they would always invite the scholarship person and their family to have dinner with a group of ladies. And after that was over, the current president said, okay, guys, we're all ready to be done. So here's your two options. We're either going to fold the club or someone can take it over. At that point, I had only been in the club for just at one service year. Myself, Dee Black, Katie Peterson, Luann, we all were we just joined this. We're so excited about it. And I didn't grow up in Worcester, so Women's Service Club for me was that first initial, how I made friends. I'm still friends with Katie, I'm still friends with Dee, and I just was we can't let it just dissolve. That seems crazy. So we were ready or not, we'll just dive in and take it over. And they all said, okay, but you get to be in charge.
That's right.
And that's where I've been ever since, which is crazy. So that was spring of 2019 that we took it over.
Oh, no, for sure. It's good to have friends, especially the ones that push you to new heights, right?
Yes.
So in 2021, you made WSC an official nonprofit. What did that process look like, and how has it changed the direction of the group?
Well, I will shout out Critchfield because nothing is possible without their advice. Luckily, one of the girls that is still on our board was at the time working at Critchfield and was really able to handle all the legal stuff of that, because that is way above my brain. But the big thing we kind of already touched on was the name change and what that meant for us, because I love not answering the question, am I too old? You're not too old. We have such a range of girls. We have literally, Haley's our youngest member, and she just turned 20, and all the way up through women in their retirement years. So it's a really great wide span for us.
Now, you had to rebuild during COVID, recruiting only 4 new members that year. How did you push through that season and keep the momentum going forward?
Yeah, that was such a weird year. We were also so new to the situation because we had just, kind of restructured everything. We kind of made some changes about how we were doing things within the group. And I will say, not all 4 ladies that we recruited that year are still in the club, and one of them is actually the vice president. So we almost didn't recruit that year, and when I look back at that, when you asked some of those questions, I was like, oh my gosh, we would not be where we are without that small but mighty situation that came out of that. But we really had to change. I mean, we had to change how we did service projects. We did a virtual clothing drive. So people literally put their clothes in boxes out on their porches. Myself and a few other girls, we drove around town in Worcester, picked up all the clothes, and we drove them to people ourselves. I have a pickup truck, so we literally filled the pickup truck full. And we had people whose family had passed away and stuff like that that reached out and they said, we have boxes and boxes. And I remember one of the girls and I picking up literally 25 packing boxes of clothes out of one household. But it was great because people still felt like they could give back, but it was without having to leave the comfort of their own home. And we did that in, I want to say it was April or beginning of May of 2020. So it was like height of COVID when people really weren't like going out and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions back then, that's for sure. And I think that knowing that you can do something when there's a lot of like chaos and disorder is key. You can focus on the things you can do, not necessarily the things you can't do. But yeah, let's fast forward. You got over 30 women involved. What's been the biggest challenge and rewards of leading such a passionate group?
So the hardest thing is always trying to figure out how many people are going to show up. Life happens, work, you have to stay over at work, all these things factor into people's time to give. But it's so rewarding. We actually just had what we call social hour. So once a month we try to get together and it just looks like going out to dinner or grabbing drinks or whatever. Sometimes we even include like family and have like a family picnic. Watching everybody sit around a table and all these women that come from different backgrounds, different economic status, different career paths, all be passionate about the same thing, which is giving back to the community, is so refreshing. It breathes the life back into me that makes those late nights of typing up meeting agendas and all the not so pretty stuff that goes along with, making sure taxes are filed every year and all those things. But to sit around a table or a room full of women who are all passionate about the same thing, which is community, is amazing. The biggest challenge lately has been finding a nonprofit who can accommodate such a large group and after hours. Back in the 70s, most of those women were stay-at-home moms. Now, almost all of us are working moms, or just working women. So a lot of times we want to try to get there at 5:30. So the nonprofit has to be willing to have staff that can stay over, or a project that needs done, and also have room to host 30 women at once, potentially.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely can be a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, you talked about honoring the history of the club while also reshaping it. What were some of the key changes you made to modernize the group?
Well, the big one we've already touched on is changing the mindset of the stay-at-home mom versus the working woman. And that wasn't something that we really realized so we had a storage unit that we cleaned out and we went through all the totes and everyone had kept every single piece of paper. And I cherish my husband, but I'm a very independent woman. And to read letters that were addressed to Mrs., so my letter would have said Mrs. Nathan Tharp. And I was like, ew. No, like we are our own women, and I know that that's just a sign of like the times, the 60s and things like that, where that's just how women were addressed. But we've really like tried to, I don't know, to sound cliche, girl power in the best way that we can. We've had people honestly, we've had some nasty messages about how it's not fair that we don't let men in. If a man really wanted to join, we probably wouldn't turn them away. That's not in our bylaws that you have to be biologically a female to be in our group. But I think the thing that we're all passionate about is being a group of women who love our community and love all the nonprofits in our community.
Yeah, I think that, keep the main thing the main thing. If you want to serve your community, then just serve your community.
For sure.
Yeah. I have a wife and a daughter, and I want them to be completely independent. I want them to be free thinkers. I want them to have their own beliefs and own, things that they're passionate about. So yeah, I'm very excited about your guys' group because I have two women that are also passionate about stuff that they like. So now you've changed the attendance policies, shifted the mindset, and set it up for long-term sustainability. What were the driving values behind those decisions?
So I'm actually in what will be coming up on my last year as president. So generally, presidency didn't look like it actually changed every year. Every calendar year, they elected a new president. And when we took it over, one of the things that we thought was we have to get a really good base for this new nonprofit system, this new thing. So we put everybody into 2-year service terms with, realistically, I could continue to run for re-election, but I knew that I was just getting to the point where I was like, I want to take a step back from leadership, but I still want to be in the group. So I've worked really hard to set all those base bricks for everybody. We're constantly changing how we're doing stuff. Like we just were like, hey, what's a better RSVP system? So we actually know how many people are going to show up to TJ's so that we can get a table big enough for everyone. Those kind of things. So we're always kind of evolving to work what's best for the group as a whole, but at the same time, we really want it to be able to run without myself, without Katie, who's been there since day one, without Luann, So the three of us are the only three that are left from the original transition in 2019. So I want it to be there for your daughter when she's, graduated college and moves back to Wayne County and is like, oh, how can I get involved in my community better kind of thing. So
now you said that WSC is the only all-female group supporting other nonprofits in Wayne County. What makes that kind of collaboration so unique and also needed?
Well, I think one of the best things about it is how many, which you're probably going to learn as you're diving into all these nonprofits, and I know you've already interviewed like Katie Coleman and stuff, is how many of the nonprofits we work with are female led, right? Main Street Worcester is running on a female team. The Chamber is running on a female team. United Way is running on a female team, so it's like not only are we just women giving back to the community, but we're women supporting other women. And like for me, that's so powerful. Like I don't know. I'm a firm believer in like women are the future. Like we're moving in the right direction to be like equals, right? There's a lot of nonprofit groups that also provide social service. You have, Lions and Kiwanis and all those things. So many of those organizations, while they impact locally, they're also global organizations, right? So some of their funding does leave Wayne County. Every dollar that we've raised and then put back into the nonprofits that we serve stays right here in Wayne County, if not even Worcester. Honestly, a lot of it is Worcester. There are a few that we help with that are outside of that.
I think it's important that, we have to support our community, whether it's, monetary or service-based, because in the end, we live here. So we might as well make it great.
Yes.
Speaking of great, can you share a project or event that you've done that you felt especially meaningful or impactful?
So one of my favorite fundraisers that we used to do was adult prom, because we didn't want just another gala. And it was always fun. We changed the theming, we changed, all the things, and really tried to give people an event that they wanted to attend and also wanted to spend their money at. And every year that we held that event for 3 years in a row, we were also able to significantly increase the amount of money that we were able to give to people to people. People to people is very special to me because when I first moved to Worcester and was a single mom, doing my VISTA term, so that's Volunteer in Service to America, so I worked at the Viola Startsman Clinic for very minimal stipend. I actually used people to people services. 2 years for back to school for Levi and once for a disconnect notice for my electric bill. And I always tell that story at our prom because now look at me, right? And it's that breaking, I don't want to say I was living in poverty, but like breaking that cycle of like I bettered myself, I continue to better myself, my community, and that was a very full circle moment to like hand Joe a check that I personally put hundreds of hours into that event for a substantial amount of money that they can use to help people that were like me. So that was one of my favorite projects and still stands.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Breaking those generational trends is huge. And that's one of the things that when I work with my clients that are business owners or parents, you're passing on those habits and those things. So you might as well make the future better. I recently went to People as well, did their back to school shopping. That was so much fun.
It's a great organization.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize how important People to People is to this community that it serves.
No. So how do you stay fueled and focused with everything that you're balancing?
Lots of caffeine. Honestly, sometimes it's really like I have to take a step back. And last night, that was one of those moments where sometimes I catch myself just getting a little burned out or a little frustrated. And then, like I said, like sitting around a table of women and having drinks and laughing and like, I was just like, yes, this is it. This is what fills my cup back up kind of thing. But definitely a lot of caffeine.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm a firm believer with God, all things are possible, and then with caffeine, you'll get it done quicker.
Yes.
You mentioned that your presidency will end here shortly. 7 years. What are your hopes for the club after you pass that baton over?
I genuinely hope that it finds a way to last forever. I hope that someday when I'm, I don't know, 70 and hopefully retired and living somewhere warm that I, come back to Worcester and like attend something cool that Women's Service Club is hosting or fundraiser or something like that. Like I genuinely hope that we've managed. I don't have a daughter. I wish I did, or she'd, inherently have to join, but that it's just around for the future generations. There's no reason for it to go anywhere. I think the need will always be there. I mean, most of what we're doing is just providing community service hours, helping another nonprofit with their fundraiser. And then some of it is we fundraise for ourselves, but all that money goes back. So we did a big thing where we raised a bunch of money with purse bingo. And then some of that money went into our Hope Totes project. But then at the end of the year, we had still quite a bit of money left over. And we gave everybody, well, not everybody, so we paired everybody up into twos, newer person with an older established member. We gave everybody $500 and they got to go shop for their nonprofit of choice, which was A, great team building, and B, like just really made those connections, like, I don't know, concreted those connections, I guess, with the nonprofits that they chose. And they got to go shopping together, and then we all got back together a few weeks later, and then everybody got to tell about their project, which was super fun. So. Oh
yeah, for sure. So I love the purse bingo concept. I've helped with some of those in the past, so definitely a fun thing. So what legacy do you hope to leave, not just for the organization, but the women that you've led?
I think the biggest legacy for me is not even about me. I just want everyone to look back at their time in the club, whether that's 1 year of service or 7+ years of service, and just think those were some of my best memories that I've had, and those lasting friendships too. I mean, there are so many ladies in the group that I do things with outside of the group. Some of us have gone on girls' trips, we go to concerts, So for me, it's like the legacy just needs to be about connection and making those like lifelong connections. And some of the people I probably wouldn't have met or gone on my way to be friends with before, but now that we spend once a month together, it's so much easier to build those relationships.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when you're professional and you're working and you're a parent. Sometimes it's hard to make friends. It really is.
Where does one go make friends?
That's right. Yeah, maybe that's in my next book. We'll write that. So for anyone listening who wants to start something similar, what's your biggest piece of advice? What would you say to the person who feels like, I'm just one person? What difference can I make?
Well, I think, Wayne County is super blessed in the amount of nonprofits that they have. But when it boils down to giving and supporting those nonprofits, that little support group can be tiny, right? It can be that mom's group of 5 moms that meet once a week and they stuff baskets for Forget-Me-Not or whatever that looks like. So I just think the size is never the issue, right? I mean, we went from 5 to, I actually counted last night, I think we're at 34. So I think it's fine to start small. You know, it's okay if it's just you and your 3 girlfriends that are really passionate about this one thing to evolve it into something big, or keep it small. Small, it can still be mighty.
Yeah, I think it's important to start with what you can control. So a lot of times starting small is great because, I'm a firm believer in slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? If you keep tackling one thing at a time, eventually you're going to get to where you want to be. So, obviously with what you do, there's probably been a lot of support. You've talked to about shouting out your mom and your husband and your son. What does their support mean to you through the long hours and the late nights?
Well, my husband Nathan has cooked more dinners in our time married than I have, for sure, because my life is a lot more. I have this meeting, I have this service project, I have this thing for work, I have whatever it is. He's getting a small taste of that now that he sits on a couple boards himself, and he's like, okay, yeah, these after hours things. But really, could not have done it without him. And Levi's ability to adapt to all the changes that have happened in our lives. There's been times that I've drug him to service projects because he's a young, strong back that can help us carry things. Or, and several of us have made our sons over the years hey, we need some heavy muscles. So, and then my mom really just instilled. So my mom works at the counseling center and then also as a mental health counselor at the Career Center, and she's been doing that kind of social service work my whole life, and I think she's the reason that I felt passionate about it. And a lot of times when I've had a bad day or just kind of want to vent, I just call her and I'm like, okay, I'm just calling to vent, so can you just listen to me complain?
Don't judge me, just listen.
Yeah, just listen. I don't need your advice, just listen to me. And she's like, okay. And then sometimes I do need her advice and things like that. So really they're my key 3. I mean, my sisters are great, my dad's great, but both my sisters don't live here and they don't know all the things of Worcester and Wayne County. And I remember one time I asked my mom, I said, why doesn't this social service agency work well with this social service agency? They're trying to provide the same services. And this was when I was working at 180, and she said to me, not everybody likes to play in the sandbox nicely. And I, in that moment, said, that's ridiculous. I want to make a space where we all work nicely and play together nicely. I've also started, we haven't had one in a couple months because summer's crazy, but bi-monthly I invited all the nonprofits in Wayne County here to the library where we are, and we all sat around the room and we had one person who led the conversation, but we all talked about what our issues are with. So Katie spoke at one about donor retention, and John from Certified Angus Beef talked about event planning and fundraising. And it was so nice to sit with all those other leaders and be like, okay, here's what we see that works, here's what we see that doesn't work. And after I left that first one, I called my mom and I said, I did it. I made them all play nicely in the same box together, you know. So she's kind of been my driving factor in that point. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely collaboration is the key to success. If we all start working together towards making each other better and speaking life to each other, things will always get to where they want to be. And I think it's very important to, have your kids see the things that you're passionate about. Because eventually, they're going to be in the same shoes that you're going to be in. So they might as well do something good.
Yeah.
All right, so last question here. What's one thing you wish more people knew about the power of community service?
Oh, how good it feels. When I meet people that are like, how do you have time to volunteer? How do you have time to do all the things? It's like, how do you not have time? I mean, I know literally you cannot have enough time in the day, but I think it's such an important life quality. And like you said, for the kids too, right? Like, we're leading by example here. My son plays lacrosse, and Reed is very passionate about community service. Like, the boys actually get seniority per se based on their community service hours. And to watch that from an outsider's point, I'm like, that is so smart. Why are all the sports teams not, doing community service hours? Why are just groups not doing it? There's such a need in this community, whether it's soup kitchen, whether it's something silly, just helping stuff race packets for, whoever's having a race. It feels good. I don't want to say like I get a high from it, but I kind of do. When I leave a fundraiser or a service project or whatever, you can ask my husband. I come home and I'm like buzzing. Like, he's like, did you have caffeine while you were gone? I'm like, no, but like, this is what happened, and this was really cool, and I met so-and-so, and it fills my soul in a way that I wish everybody would get that same feeling.
Yeah, I think that positivity is contagious as well as negativity. So if you do good things, you'll get that in your life 100%. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for being on the show today. If anyone else needs any additional information, you can reach out to myself, Seth Screamo, at 330-221-1547. Have a great day. Bye.